today's episode, I'm joined by Joe McNee, and together we talk about the world of automation. That is how to automate your client onboarding and success journey. He is a specialist in helping fitness coaches to automate their businesses, but the principles we talk about are applicable to any small business, no matter if it's in the fitness industry or anything else besides. You're going to love this if you want to learn more about how you can use apps and technology to automate the whole onboarding experience and give your clients exactly what they need without you having to do all the work yourself. Enjoy. So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day and this is Systemize Your Success. Hi, Joe. Thank you very much indeed for coming on and chat with me today. And just kick off, give me a couple of minutes just to explain what it is you do, who you help, and what you hope we're going to talk about today.
So basically, I automate the various different softwares for, at the moment, kind of niche right down to personal trainers and gym owners. The reason for that is that's the industry I was in. So even a bit bigger background is I have a day job. I am a school teacher from 8:30 to 3:30. Then I went into the coaching world because teaching and coaching, they're pretty much the same thing, through kind of fitness. And then what I found is my business was growing to the point where I was not at home. I had a raging kind of wife, kids never seen me, might as well be a stranger. And I thought, I can't keep doing this. So I was coming from the gym, sitting down and sending emails and doing all the admin work that I didn't do because I was working. So I thought there's got to be a better way. Found automation, started automating my tasks, freeing up more time, and then I could get back to being with the kids, which is the ultimate goal for me. And then I just started talking to my network of people online in the gym, and more people were asking me to do it for them. And then this grew into a viable, legitimate business where I will automate the marketing, the onboarding and the delivery of coaching programs for personal trainers.
Awesome. Yeah, so solve the need, for yourself, and then realize this is something that other people want, which is similar to the reason I started my business. And same sort of thing, different market, but same idea, which is like, how do you help people do less in their business and be more successful? So
yeah, pretty much. And for me, it was kind of keep the level of success up, but have more time, almost that work-life balance. It went to a non-existent place, and I was like, this, and that was my experience growing up. My dad was a workaholic, like sitting on a Saturday, like, I'm just going to go to the office for a few hours. And I was like, that's great, because we lived a comfortable life, but I want to live a comfortable life and be there at the same time, which is the kind of the ultimate goal for me.
Yeah, cool. All right. So tell us, let's talk through this. Like, if I was a client of yours or potential client of yours now struggling to, so I'm there, I guess, doing all the work, as in being a trainer, being a coach, or in my world, being a business owner, doing all the work in the business, because the stuff you teach, the stuff you help people do is not just applicable to gyms and coaches, is it? It's applicable to any type of business. And that's really...
any business where repetitive tasks have to happen on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. Anything that you are repeating, the passing of information from one place to another place, anything can kind of be automated in terms of information passing. So if you were a client of mine, the first thing we would do is kind of go way back to the client journey. What happens, first of all, when the client reaches out to you, how does that look? Can we then put them in that information in a centralised area for two reasons? So we can track our leads and follow up with potential clients that maybe don't sign up, but also so then we can have that information in one place and start triggering automations from there. So the first thing I would ask is, what does your client journey look like from interest to sign up? And then we would go through that, and I would ask probing questions. So what happens when they message you? What do you do? Do you book a call with them? Yeah. How do you do that? Or we go back and forward, right? That can be automated, as you kind of know, through Software's Calendly, OneSub, Acuity is pretty good as well. So basically we have to create a standardised client journey, and then we can't automate varying different journeys because it becomes far too messy and it'll break. There'll be a mistake, something will happen. So we standardise that kind of journey.
Cool. So it's basically, yeah, and you're mapping this out. So
yeah, so
yeah, you're giving people the opportunity to sort of talk through what they do every day. It's the stuff that they probably know at the back of their hand. They just don't know how to get other people or other things like automation tools to do it reliably for them. Right?
Yeah, it's things they almost do subconsciously because they just do them. Like they just reply to DMs, messages. They just, you know, arrange a call. When are you free? They put it in their calendar. Things that they just do and things they've always done, and they almost, because it works, they don't see another way of doing it. And I just kind of try and find out what they do, and then we look at where we can kind of take that job off of them and give them and free up more of their time.
Yeah, we're singing from the same hymn sheet when it comes to how we help clients, and we just approach it in slightly different ways. And so that's this whole idea of freeing your time. I've even got a course called Freeing Your Time. That is like absolutely close to my heart, because like you, I was totally overwhelmed and trying to figure out how to do this whole business malarkey without doing, like you described with your dad, about becoming a workaholic, or without actually changing from being a workaholic, I must say, because I used to be a workaholic. And yeah, so I totally get this. All right. And so is there any tips you can give people, like, because I think this idea of a client journey, loads of people understand they need to do it. It's a bit like when you talk about avatars or client journeys. It's like everyone thinks, oh yeah, that's important, but I'll get to that at some point. You know, I'll get to that later when I'm successful. And I think that it took me many years to realize, actually, no, you've got to go the way around. So how can you, if you go back to the beginning of this, helping people understand what that is, but even before you get to the automation part?
So one of the big things and I worked on with my coach was, how can we get people to realize that they're not wasting time, but they're spending too much time on the wrong thing. So going back to my niche, coaches sign up or become coaches to coach. They don't sign up to be a business owner or an admin person. I call them accidental business owners. They just want to coach and help people, but as you grow, you accidentally end up running a business and it takes you away from coaching. So one thing that I get them to do is I get them to write down how much time they spend on certain tasks. You know, because it only takes 2 minutes to write an email. Yeah, 2 minutes with 60 clients. Do you know what I mean? That's 2 hours, that's a long time. But they don't see it because it's 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here. So we get them to identify things that they do repetitively and the time it takes them over the course of a week. And then once they get that realization, they go, that's a lot of time I'm spending doing admin type tasks. And then from there, we look at, right, what is the task that you do the most? So it might be sending that onboarding email. So someone pays for their coaching, they send them a welcome email. Right, that takes you 5 minutes. You copy and paste a generic email into your Google, you quickly change the name, and then you send it. Right, okay, well, we can have that automated. And then the next thing is getting them over the mindset of personal training needs to be personal. And this was a big one. So they have personally sent the email, but it's not a personal email, it's copy and pasted off their notes or a Word document or a Google Docs. But because they've personally sent it, it feels personal. And getting over that mindset of people sign up for personal coaching, not personal information passing. That's the two things. So tracking your tasks, your time, and then realizing what part of your service is personable, coaching, the calls, you know, specific to an individual person, sending a welcome email saying, thanks for signing up, here's the process, doesn't need to be personal in any way, it's a passing information, this is how the next step works. And once they understand that, usually come on the journey pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, I think it's remarkable how similar your and my businesses are. But I think what's one of the interesting things, like hearing you describe it there, is in my business, it's almost the opposite. It's like your clients want to do more of the thing that they do, their skill set. Whereas in my world, I'm almost like trying to remove the business owner entirely from the business and get other people to do everything and then actually just run the business. So it's almost like the opposite sides, the same approach to actually get a similar outcome, but from almost different, completely opposite ends of the spectrum. So really interesting. All right. So what about if you think about the steps involved in this? And we've talked about the standard. We've talked about, you mentioned calendar booking apps, which is one of the most simplest things that I agree people can use to save massive amounts of headache and time. So you've got Calendly, Acuity you mentioned as well. I've used both of those. And then what about the email element of that? And what do you use for the automation side of the email? And then what happens next?
So my personal preference is ActiveCampaign because
I do the same.
From a techie point of view, the functionality is incredible. It's amazing. But in terms of, so I'm a big fan of ActiveCampaign and the functionality of that. But there's others. So again, I work with kind of one-man band PTs majority of the time. I do have a couple of bigger fitness kind of businesses who have multiple coaches, and that's where they essentially want to remove themselves to run the business, but give their time back to the coaches to coach. So same kind of principle. The people who want to do the coaching should be coaching, and everybody else should be doing what they need to do. But there's loads like MailChimp is there, and these are all kind of tools that you can use for email marketing, automation. So essentially what I do is when someone signs up for a payment processor, Stripe being again one of my favorite ones because the functionality is, when you understand the tech, it's huge. When you go to the back end of it, it can be almost daunting. But once they pay, they're automatically added into, let's call it ActiveCampaign, and then a series of emails can be triggered and sent out automatically without you lifting a finger. Because at that point, for me, your onboarding process should be exactly the same. You need to get the client to the point where you can start coaching. So they might need to download certain apps. They might need to fill in certain forms to give you the information you need to create their personal coaching program. But sending that information doesn't have to be personal. And it's just using the tools to your advantage.
Yeah, Joe was just saying about the fact that people send personal or want to send personal communications to their clients. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges that I had to overcome with my properties back in the day. And a lot of my clients are coaches through as well. And I think, so I just want to really touch on this. I think it's a really, really important point, is that clients that sign up for you, they want a service, they want to get what they paid for, but they don't really mind who it is that gives them that. Obviously, if you've said you're going to give them X amount of your personal time as part of the package that they've bought, then you've got to deliver that. But the bits in between, who sends them the email, if that's an app that sends it, or if that's an assistant that sends it, is like, they don't care. They just want to get it, and if it means it gets there quicker or whatever the information is, and they get it from some of the tool or some of the person in your business, that's cool. It's like this idea that you have to be one-on-one with your clients all the time is just insanity, because you can't grow a business unless you have help. And any business that's ever grown and become larger than one or two people has done so because you delegate huge amounts of the work. And it doesn't matter if you're delegating, in your case, to apps and technology and automation tools, or in my world a lot more with people. It's like that mindset shift is so important. And if you can get people over that, they suddenly realize, and that is the only way to actually grow a business, not just the nicest way or the preferred way, it's the only way. So really, really important point.
Yeah, and it's actually almost crucial in the kind of fitness industry, because people, when they sign up to trust you with their health and fitness, they're in a bit of a vulnerable state. So if they pay me, upwards of, like, say, let's say £1,000 for 4 months worth of coaching, that's a lot of money for them to part with. if I don't then email them for 2 days because I'm busy working, I mean, the anxiety that must be going through that they've just gave potentially a scammer £1,000 because they have nothing tangible. Whereas as soon as they sign up, they're met with an email from me saying, thanks very much for signing up, this is what is happening right now. It puts them at ease as well, so they're not then, you know, almost removes that buyer's remorse, puts them at ease, so they're more likely to trust the process. You know, people that are kind of fat loss inclined are going to have questions. If you're taking 3 and 4 days to answer them, they needed that answer much quicker. So if you can then just, here's what's going to happen, here's how it works, here's the process, and it frees up your time to then actually answer the questions they have and coach them. It's much more beneficial for you as the business owner and the client, because they instantly know what's happening and they're instantly bought into the process.
All right, cool. And then where would you go from there then? Like, so you've got them signed up, you've used your email tools to basically let them know how to get in contact, whatever it is, provide them with information, get the information back. What else is there after you go there? Where do you help the clients?
So then it kind of comes into what I would call service delivery, which is the emails that they're going to get throughout the time they're working with you. So the biggest one, again, we'll go back to kind of personal coaches, is a recurring email once a week or once a month for them to feed back to you, so that you can continually evaluate their journey, their progress. And that's one that most of my clients will say, oh, every Sunday I send the same email to the same people. It's literally just copy and pasted. And I'm like, you can just have that on loop, so that you do, all you need to do is kind of set it up once, it's on loop, they get everything in the email, they then send that information back to you, and then you can do your bit of changing the plan, of feeding back to them what you suggest they need to do to keep making progress. The other one is then, and it's kind of almost seems like a bit sleazy and salesy, is asking for referrals and testimonials. There is a huge fear factor in the coaching industry that if you ask somebody to refer a friend to you, that you're some sort of scumbag. So
I don't think that's unique to the coaching industry at all. Like every business I've ever spoken to, including myself for a long time, before I really got confident in what we do as a business, is totally. So yeah, I really think.
So, you know, what we do is we remove that feeling, because we set it up once, and the writing the email and the setting up's the easy part. It's the hit and send, because they're like, what if they say no? Well, they say no. You know what I mean? So once that's automated, it goes right out of their mind, and it's almost like, you know, they're just sending this. Is there anybody you can recommend? Again, asking for testimonials to then use in your marketing. Just automate these things that there's mental barriers. Right? I know I need to do this, but I don't want to send it in case they say no. What if they give me a bad review? Well, good, learn from it. If they give you a great one, post it and show people. And it's just things that people know they need to do, but either don't because they've got a mental block, or they forget about it and just never do it. And it's one of these things that I know I need to do it. I'll do it next week. I'll definitely do it. And as they get busier and busier, it just gets shoved further to the side. I'm
smiling here, Joe. I know you can't see that on the podcast, unless you're on YouTube, but I'm smiling because I'm just thinking, you know what? We don't do this. we don't actually have an automation set up for asking for referrals from people when they've come either part way or all the way through a course. I was thinking, you know, what an idiot. So thank you very much. So it's something that we do manually. I do it, you know, when I speak to people, or I'll actually, you know, and you know, I'm a bit of a techie guy, so I'm embarrassed that I'll openly admit, because I think it helps people when you do. But yeah, I'm going to set this up after this and make sure it happens from now on. So yeah, thanks very much. You know, I never walk away from a podcast without actually just taking something of massive value and just thinking like the penny drops, or like one of these, like, God, we don't do that. So yeah, that's what I found from our last call. I had got off the call and I was like, I need to lie down. I've got too many ideas in my head. But I think it's great when especially when, you know, I think we'll have lots of chats beyond this, you know, from now, because I think we can help each other loads, and we're in very similar spaces. And, you know, some people look and think, oh, we're in competition. I mean, the world's big enough to have two of us doing the same thing, but we don't. We come at it from a slightly different angle. But because we're both techie, sort of geeky people in lots of ways with an overlap, I think we're gonna have lots of fun. And I can imagine us coming back and doing another podcast in the near future and talking about all the stuff we've actually did come up together with over the next few months and years. So yeah, now I'm excited. Cool. Is there anything else, Joe, you want to share with the audience today? Anything? Obviously, we'll talk about how they can contact you and everything like that in a moment, but really about this journey, is there anything else we've missed that you want to actually just delve into that might be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's as profound as anything that you've managed to come up with, but to create the time for automation, you need to create the time, if that makes sense. So people are almost too busy to create time, to save themselves time further down the line. But if you see it as an investment, so if you invest 1 hour in planning out your journey and standardising it and automating it, you know, within a week, if you've saved 5 hours, you're 4 hours up. So it's almost like, make sure you see it as an investment and not as I have to take time away from another task. That's the one thing I would say is invest the 1 hour or 2 hours that you need to standardise this journey, and then, you know, that'll reap so much kind of time benefits. And then if we look at it from kind of like a PT perspective, if I save myself 5 hours a week at admin, that could be 5 hours a week where I'm coaching more. It could be 5 extra clients, which means more money, or it could mean more time with my family and the same money. I'm not like, it's so much kind of bigger than I don't have time to spare 1 hour. And then the second thing I would be is just try and automate things, like make up a dummy account. Like, you can't break the multi-million-pound software. Like, you can't break Google Drive. Do you know what I mean? And if you can, well done, because that is impressive. So try it. If it fails, all right, cool. It didn't work. You'll learn your lesson from it. Try it again. If you end up going into like the rabbit holes that I end up down, just for my sheer enjoyment, that's when you just look at outsourcing it, getting somebody else to do it, paying someone to set it up once, that kind of thing. But yeah, try it and then take it from there.
Very wise words there, Joe. They really are, and so resonates so much with me. I mean, one of the things that I teach is, you know, if you can save an hour a day, that adds up 5 hours a week over the course of a year. That's 6 weeks of your life saved. And when you put it in perspective like that, it's just a no-brainer. You've got to put the time aside to take your life back. So I'm massively all with you on this. So awesome. Right, if you don't mind, before we sign off, I want to ask you a couple of signature questions, if that's all right. I did warn you might do this at the end, so I'm going to I haven't just done this on you completely blindly. Let me know, or can you tell us 3 or whatever, 1, 2, 3 apps, your favorite apps, plugins, technology that you just could not live without?
So the one thing is Google Drive. Huge fan of Google Drive. I mean, there is other cloud kind of softwares, but I'm a bit of an Android geek versus Apple. So Google Drive syncs with everything, very easy to use, simple. The second one is Zapier, because that's the kind of glue that pulls everything together, all the different softwares. And the third one, not really, probably Google Sheets within Google Drive, but then that's me being a bit of a spreadsheet geek, because you can automate within your automations. You end up in like an Inception type situation, but Google Sheets, because the power of that within Google Drive is limitless.
Especially when you link it with Zapier.
Yep, and then you've got scripts in the back end if you want to go into a real rabbit hole.
Yeah, all that fun and games, which I turned my back on many years ago. Who else would you think would be a good guest or a great guest for this podcast?
You know what? Tanya Filer. She is one of the coaches I have worked closely with. Both I've hired her and she's hired me. Does incredible work around marketing, but then the mindset of kind of allowing yourself to remove the barriers of sending referral emails and any kind of mental barriers that you face as, particularly again going back to my niche, an accidental business owner. You start to coach and you end up running a business, and you're like, wait a minute, how does this happen? She's brilliant at unlocking what you all probably already know. You're just scared to admit.
Undo.
Undo.
Awesome. Tag me into a message with if you mind, or email.
I definitely will do, mate. I will do.
Sounds like a great guest. Perfect. Okay, cool. What does success mean to you?
Success means to me doing the things I want to do when I want to do them. So that comes with a bit of monetary financial goals, that if I want to go on a holiday next week, I want to pay for the holiday and go on that holiday. If it means my kids want to get certain gifts, I don't have to kind of think about it and go, I'm not sure if I can afford that. I just want to be able to say, you deserve this, you're getting it. Also, I don't want to spoil them, so they do get told no often. But I want that
in there quickly, you know.
Yeah, I want the availability to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So holidays, like, you know, go home. The missus like, I've had a tough day. Weather's crappy because it's the UK. Like, next week we're going to Spain. That's it, done. It's paid for. And I'm not doing the. Not there's nothing wrong with it. I have done it. I'm not doing the £200 a month for a year to go on the one holiday. I want that kind of freedom.
Yeah. All right. And do you believe you can, I get my words out now. Do you believe you can systemize your success, and why?
100%. Yeah. I believe you almost have to kind of hit a certain level of success, like, because as, you know, one person, I can only do so much work in the day. There's only so much time, it's finite. So you need to systemize to capture more time yourself, systemize to bring in staff. That's also your kind of area of systemizing, kind of looking at as staff need to know what they need to know to do the job that you need them to do to deliver the same value to your clients. So I think you almost need to systemize to hit success, otherwise you're going to hit burnout.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much indeed. Before we sign off, just to let people know how they can get hold of you, and if there's anything you want to give away, how do they get hold of that?
So the best way is probably through Instagram. It's, my handle is Joe_Fitlogic _systems. I think, I don't actually know. I'll send you that over and put that in the.
It'll be in the. We already got it. It'll be in the show notes. It is just for your reference. I've got it here in front of me now. It's at Joe with an E, so JOE _Fitlogic _systems.
There we go. Glad you're here, because it's almost like your own phone number. You barely know that.
This is a nice little system for you now. Talking about a system. So this is, we talked about Zappy before, about Google. Well, this is Google Docs, but same difference, and also Acuity. So so you filled out a Acuity booking form when you came in. You put all your information on there. That goes to Zapier, which creates a Google Doc, populates it, and formats all of the information you provided, and puts it into a folder with your name on it for my podcast, in the right folder in my drive, ready for me to open up when I do the interview, and then the audio file will automatically appear in there when I've finished. So there you go, all your favorite apps combined into that.
I like that workflow.
Having
That's nice.
Information in front of me for you now, just there. Go on, sorry, yeah. And how do you have you got anything that people can, you know, download or get access to, which you think would be helpful?
Yeah, so I have got a kind of free automate your onboarding course that kind of takes people from accepting a payment to sending an automatic kind of welcome email. It's based around the fitness industry, but the principles of setting up the automation are totally the same. So I'll send you that link over so that people can grab access to that.
Again, I've got it. It's going to be on the show notes. I've even signed up myself and had a little gander before I came on, and I definitely recommend people do that. Check it out. It's a lot of information on there.
I will recommend not watching it in the evening, because my dulcet tones will put you to sleep.
You watch on double speed, and it's all like, then you can get through it a little bit quicker, but B, your dulcet tones just rise up. It's, you know, that's what people do for me. So I don't bore them. They always tell me, no, I watch you on triple speed sometimes, Steve. Depends what mood I'm in as well, because sometimes I speak very fast and other times I speak very slowly. So cool. Joe, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
No, thanks for inviting me on, mate. Enjoyed it.
Cool. All right, we'll speak again. Cheers. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to this episode. I'm well aware there are hundreds of great business podcasts out there, and you chose to listen to this one, and for that I am truly grateful. Hopefully what you heard today took you one step closer to building a successful business so you can share your passion with the world and serve an ever-growing number of people. If you got value out of today's episode, then so will someone else you know. By sharing with others what has helped you along your way, you will grow your influence and be the guy or girl that everybody wants to know. So please hit the share button right now, and also remember to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss future episodes. It's impossible for me to cover absolutely everything in these podcasts, so please do head over to systemizeyoursuccess.com right now and download the show notes, transcriptions, and some of my best frameworks and systems for free. Thanks again for tuning in and being a part of this amazing community. Until next time, this is Dr. Steve Day, and you've been listening to Systemize Your Success.